Have you ever tuned into the radio and just wondered what else is out there? You know, beyond the usual music and news, what secret stories might be riding those airwaves?
That's a great question, because today we're actually diving into a pretty hidden world of broadcasting.
We are. We're exploring this really fascinating side of radio history, looking at a specific documentary series called La Radio En La Oscuridad.
Right, which you could translate loosely as Radio in the Dark or Radio in Obscurity. It's a Spanish series from back in 1989.
And it was created by Jaime Báguena García and Alfonso Montealegre. These guys were from Radio Nederland Wereldomroep, the Dutch international service, part of their Radio Enlace program. So serious credentials in media communication.
Definitely. They really knew their stuff. And their whole goal with this series was to shed light on, as they put it, the lesser-known aspects of broadcasting.
Which sounds intriguing, doesn't it? What exactly are those lesser-known aspects?
But the series itself gives us a roadmap. It's split into 6 episodes.
Okay, so what do they cover?
It kicks off with an introduction to free, pirate, and clandestine broadcasting, so setting the stage.
Free, pirate, clandestine. Okay,
Yeah.
Got it.
Then there's one called Broadcasting, White or Black, which sounds like it delves into the sort of maybe ethical or legal ambiguities.
Interesting angle. What's next?
Episode 3 looks at clandestine stations around the world, a global perspective.
Widening the lens.
Then it zooms in with Episode 4 on clandestine broadcasting in Central America, a specific regional focus there.
Okay, so a case study, almost.
Kind of. Then Episode 5 tackles radio and war, which is, a huge topic in itself.
Absolutely. Radio's role in conflict.
And finally, the 6th episode is called Profiles of a Clandestine Station, Radio España Independiente, another deep dive into a specific example.
Radio Spain Independent.
Right, so quite a comprehensive look.
Exactly. And our plan today is basically to pull out the core insights from their work. Think of it as a shortcut to understanding this hidden corner of radio history. A deep dive, as we call it. So what's the big takeaway from La Radio En La Oscuridad?
I think the main thing is just how incredibly versatile radio has been. Not just for, state-run news or pop music, but as a real tool. Sometimes a weapon, even, in different situations.
Like the pirate radio mentioned in the first episode title.
Precisely. Pirate radio often popped up to challenge the status quo, didn't it? Playing music the official stations wouldn't, or just operating outside of strict government controls. Think of, like, Radio Caroline in the UK back in the 60s, broadcasting from ships.
Right. Offshore radio, bypassing the rules.
Yeah. And then you have the clandestine stations, which often had a much more political edge.
Okay, how so?
Well, in places with authoritarian regimes, these stations could be the only voice of opposition, pushing out information the government was trying to bury.
Like the Radio España Independiente example they focus on.
Exactly that. Broadcasting into Spain during the Franco dictatorship, but from outside the country, keeping an alternative narrative alive. It's quite powerful when you think about it.
It really is. And then there's the wartime aspect.
Yeah, and radio in war is complex. It's definitely used for propaganda, no doubt about it. But it's also crucial for military comms, for getting information to civilians trapped in conflict zones.
And sometimes for morale, right? Spreading hope or coordinating resistance.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating is how radio, by its nature sending signals out over the air, allowed for all this. People found ways to broadcast, even when authorities were trying hard to shut them down or control the airwaves. Human ingenuity finding a way.
So, summing it up, this series, La Radio En La Oscuridad, really paints a picture of radio as this dynamic force for free expression, for defiance, for connection, often under really difficult circumstances.
It really does. It shows layers to radio most of us probably never consider.
Which kind of leads to a thought for our listeners, maybe. When you think about all this, the pirate stations, the secret political broadcasts, the wartime signals, what does it tell us about the sheer power and, I guess, the resilience of audio? Of just using sound to communicate, especially when things get tough?
That's a good question to ponder. The adaptability of it all.
And if anyone listening is intrigued and wants to hear the original Spanish documentaries, the actual voices and full reports from 1989, we'll put the link to them on archive.org in our show notes.
Definitely worth a listen if you understand Spanish. It's a piece of broadcasting history in itself.
So maybe the next time you turn on the radio, just remember there's this whole hidden history beneath the surface. Voices that fought to be heard, often broadcasting, well, from the darkness.